Right now, as you watch this video, there are animals living in places that would kill you in minutes. These creatures don't just survive where humans can't, they actually thrive there. Let me show you the most extreme survivors on Earth. Let's start with the Pompeii worm. This little creature lives at the bottom of the ocean, near underwater volcanoes that shoot out boiling hot water. The water around these vents reaches 176 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to brew tea. If you jumped in, you'd be cooked alive in seconds, but the Pompeii worm? It's living its best life down there. The head of this worm stays in water that's about 72 degrees, which is comfortable. But its tail sits in water that's 176 degrees. Imagine your feet being in boiling water while your head is nice and cool. That's this worm's everyday life. Scientists were shocked when they first discovered these worms. They couldn't believe anything could survive near these hot vents. But the Pompeii worm proved them wrong. It has special bacteria on its back that acts like a protective shield against the heat. Without these tiny helpers, even this tough worm couldn't survive. Now, let's talk about a creature that laughs at the idea of death itself. Meet the tardigrade, also called the water bear. This tiny animal is smaller than a grain of sand, but it might be the toughest creature on the entire planet. You can freeze a tardigrade to almost absolute zero, that's minus 458 degrees Fahrenheit. You can heat it up to 300 degrees. You can throw it into space with no protection. You can blast it with radiation that would turn you into dust. And guess what? It survives everything. Here's the crazy part. Scientists did an experiment where they completely dried out tardigrades for 10 years. No water, no food, nothing. Just dried up like a raisin. Then they added water, and the tardigrades came back to life like nothing happened. They started walking around and eating again. If humans tried to survive even one of these conditions, we'd be dead instantly. But tardigrades can handle all of them at once. They go into a special state where they're basically paused in time. No heartbeat, no brain activity, nothing. But they're not dead. They're just waiting for better conditions to come back. Let's move from the smallest survivors to some bigger ones. Deep in the frozen lands of Antarctica, where temperatures drop to minus 128 degrees Fahrenheit, you'd think nothing could live. You'd be wrong. The Antarctic midge is a small insect that lives there year-round. It's the only insect that can survive on Antarctica permanently. If you were outside in that cold without protection, you'd freeze to death in less than an hour. Your fingers and toes would get frostbite in minutes. But this little fly has a superpower. Its body makes a natural antifreeze that stops ice crystals from forming inside its cells. It can lose up to 70% of the water in its body and still survive. Imagine losing 70% of the water in your body. You'd be dead before you lost even 20%. And here's something even more amazing. In the deep oceans, there are fish living in water so cold it should be frozen solid. The Antarctic cod swims in water that's 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Normal water freezes at 32 degrees. But ocean water has salt, so it can get colder without freezing. These fish have antifreeze proteins in their blood. Without this special protection, ice would form in their blood and kill them instantly. But with it, they swim around like it's a warm summer day. Now let's talk about animals that live without something you need every single second: oxygen. In the deep parts of the ocean, there are zones called dead zones. No oxygen exists there. If you swam into one, you'd pass out in seconds and drown. But certain worms and bacteria live in these dead zones with no problem at all. They've evolved completely different ways to get energy. Instead of breathing oxygen like we do, they use chemicals like sulfur. It's like they're living on a completely different planet. But they're right here on Earth. There's also a fish called the cavefish that lives in caves with almost no oxygen. These caves are pitch black and the air is toxic to humans. The cavefish has evolved to need very little oxygen. Its heart beats slower and its body works in a completely different way than normal fish. Scientists study these creatures because they teach us what's possible for life. If animals can survive without oxygen here on Earth, maybe life on other planets doesn't need oxygen either. Maybe we've been looking for the wrong things when we search for alien life. Here's the big question. Why can these animals survive where we can't? The answer is millions of years of evolution. Each of these creatures faced impossible challenges, and over time, only the ones with special abilities survived and had babies. Those babies inherited the special abilities, and after millions of years, you get animals that seem impossible. Humans are amazing too, but we evolved for different conditions. We're built for moderate temperatures, oxygen-rich air, and normal pressure. We're incredibly smart and adaptable, but our bodies have limits. These extreme animals teach us something important. Life is tougher and more creative than we ever imagined. Whenever scientists say life can't exist somewhere, nature finds a way to prove them wrong. So the next time you think your day is tough, remember the Pompeii worm living in boiling water, or the tardigrade surviving in space. If they can handle that, you can handle whatever's in front of you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.